Introducing the Monogram Professional Range, exquisite design, and the only gas burner with precision heat controls. Monogram Luxury Appliances.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this special edition of NKBA Live. I'm Corwin Thompson, Lead Marketing Specialist at the Monogram Design Center in Chicago. I'm delighted to be here today, and we at Monogram are proud to sponsor this KBIS webinar series. We're really grateful that NKBA is proactively sharing important information about KBIS 2022. We can't wait to be there live. We have so many innovations to introduce, and we're looking forward to showing them to our industry in person. Now, it gives me great pleasure to bring in someone who really needs no introduction, NKBA's EVP and Chief Strategy Officer, Suzie Williford.
Thank you, Corwin. Great to see you. You know, we are so grateful to Monogram for sponsoring the KBIS series. But you know, it's not just a one-time thing with Monogram. They have been wonderful partners of the NKBA throughout the years, and they are also big exhibitors and sponsors of KBIS. We truly appreciate and value their partnership, their friendship, and their membership. Please support them. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know if you have questions about anything on today's KBIS webinar, please put them in the Q&A channel. We promise to answer each and every one of them by the end of the day on Monday. So let's get started. Today, we're really thrilled. I'm especially thrilled because KBIS is ramping up and we have some important updates to share with you about our in-person show in February. We've heard from so many of our members and exhibitors about how excited they are that we're returning to a live event. You know, virtual is great. Don't get me wrong. It has sustained us for the last year and a half, and I don't know what we would have done without it. But to really showcase all the new products, services, you need to experience them in person at KBIS. Frankly, there is nothing like that in-person conversation and relationship building that makes all of our businesses so much more successful, and for me personally, and I'm sure for you, so much more fun. We realize, though, that there are some lingering questions about the show. That's why we are hosting 3 webinars about KBIS over the next several months to keep you informed on the most current information. Of course, we'll also keep you updated as the status evolves, and if there's anything the last year has taught us is that change is constant. Today, I'm very happy to be joined by 2 executives from our show producer partner, Emerald Expositions, to talk over all the expo, the health and safety protocols we're putting in place, and the latest with our exhibitors. First up, please welcome my really good friend, Emerald's EVP, Brian Pagel. Hey, Brian.
Thanks, Suzie. It's great to be here.
Thanks, Brian, for being here. You know, it's been nearly 2 years since the last in-person show, which is really hard to believe. So why don't you share with us what you think will be different, or even more importantly, the same for the upcoming KBIS in Orlando?
Well, there's no doubt the world we live in, things will be different. And we've learned a lot over the last few years. And our hope is really to take much of what we have learned in terms of ways that we've been able to communicate with the marketplace during this downtime and bring those into the mix with KBIS so we can elongate that experience. That's going to include a lot of on-demand sessions as well as some remote live, because we know that at times you get busy on show site. Maybe you can't be 2 places at once, or perhaps you wanted to go back and refer to a session that you may have gone to. So we're looking to make those resources widely available to the market. So we'll be rolling these things out in the coming weeks and certainly look at how they can help to enhance your overall KBIS experience.
So, you know I personally just can't wait to experience KBIS in person again. But let's talk about what we are doing from a virtual standpoint at KBIS. Tell us about video at KBIS, and if you think there'll be any live streaming, and what the plan is for the on-demand content following the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing people will notice is a lot of cameras on the floor. So we have targeted a number of key sessions that will be live streamed throughout the show. So that's going to be the State of the Industry, State of the Association presentation, the NKBA Design Awards, and then all of the sessions on the KBIS Next Stage. And all the other sessions will be made and available in an on-demand format over the next few weeks and coming months, we'll be rolling that out more broadly so that everyone knows how they can access those materials throughout the year.
Because of 2021 being virtual, we put Voices of the Industry online afterwards, and it was available to the people that signed up for Voices on an extended way. Wow, that's a genie we'll never put back in the bottle, because it was just such an advantage for all of our conference attendees to be able to go and do all of them. So it really allows everyone to really be able to attend the whole conference and also be able to have more time on the show floor. Brian, we know that you do events, lots of events. Emerald is one of the largest show producers in the US. So I think our viewers would probably really like to know what has been the experience in the other trade shows in person this past year, since people have started going back to trade shows.
Yeah, absolutely. We have had the great pleasure and great fortune to be able to put on 20 face-to-face events thus far in 2021, with about 10 of those taking place in the last 45 days. So certainly we've learned a lot. We're hosting events in destinations throughout the country. And as we know, they all have different processes, procedures, policies, et cetera. So we've become quite good at evolving and adapting. But I think some of the bigger trends that we've noticed is, while the majority of our events have been smaller in size when you compare them to a pre-COVID environment, although we are starting to see signs that that's changing and changing relatively quickly, we found almost universally that engagement at these events has been just completely off the charts. And really what we're finding is that the buyers that are there are highly focused, highly qualified. They want to see new products, new solutions, new services, and they're really taking the time to do their research. So we have found it to be very beneficial in terms of one of the key metrics that we follow very closely, which is Net Promoter Score. So our exhibitors and attendees have been far away, blown away with what they've seen, regardless of market. And there are some obviously market nuances, but generally speaking, we've also found that it just turned out to be a great opportunity. There's such a desire for people to reconnect in person, with old friends, old colleagues, to seek out new products. Product exploration journey is so big. So I'm very excited for what February is going to hold.
Me too. And you're right, that human contact is so important. And the other thing is, there's so many new products that we really haven't seen in person, because the launches just haven't been there except for online. So to be able to touch and feel these products, talk to the people about how they work, I think it's very important. Kind of move over to an issue that I know is important to everyone, and that's safety. Our teams, your team, my team, and the NAHB team, we've all been working closely together to make sure that we are making decisions to keep our exhibitors and our attendees safe at KBIS, and that those are ever changing. Can you share with everyone where we are so far?
It goes without question. Health and safety remains our top priority, and will be for the foreseeable future. As we have an obligation to create safe spaces for our community to gather. And so we don't take that lightly. In its current format, we're following CDC guidance and recommendation, which, just to quickly summarize, and all of this is available on KBIS.com. We've required masks for non-vaccinated individuals and are highly recommending masks even for vaccinated people. But that being said, we're constantly looking at what's happening on the ground as well as nationally. And as circumstances change, so will our policies. So we're currently in some discussions right now with our partners at Home Builders, of course, with your team, Suzie. And in the coming weeks, we'll likely be recasting some of our health and safety protocol.
Brian, talk to me about the company Epistemic that you've hired to model the future when it comes to the pandemic. What impact will this have on KBIS?
So they're working with other organizers. They work with corporate entities, school districts, associations, healthcare systems, and governments to evaluate on how to respond to COVID-19 and other epidemics. So in the case of KBIS 22, things are looking very positive.
So interesting. And I really applaud the epistemics part, because that does give some information based on fact, based on science. And I think that, everyone will need to stay totally up to date, come to the KBIS.com website frequently. Getting back to safety, why don't we talk about what will be required? Mask, negative COVID test? I mean, will you have to show proof of vaccination? I mean, we all know that CES announced last month that they are going to require proof of COVID vaccination to attend the show. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so much of it comes down to the markets that you're in. Obviously, what's happening in Las Vegas is going to be far different than Orlando. You've got destinations like New York that are requiring vaccine requirements to enter public spaces, whereas Nevada has masks and the opportunity to forego those masks should you have a vaccination policy. So Florida's a little different. Again, right now we're following CDC guidance and guidelines, but I suspect based on where these conversations have been going internally and gauging sentiment throughout, I suspect there's going to be some enhancements. But we will be updating the market on a fairly frequent basis. And, listen, we understand that this changes daily. And so, the policy and protocol we may have today may be vastly different than what we do later. As it stands right now, we still have a mask mandate for unvaccinated attendees and highly recommend masks for those attendees that are vaccinated.
Brian, I can't thank you enough for taking your time because this has been so helpful. And as you said, we're going to be transparent. We're going to do everything we can to protect and put on a safe show, but then to put on a very robust show. And I've been to a couple of trade shows in the last couple of weeks. And, even though, as you said earlier, crowds are a little diminished on some of them, but boy, the exhibitors were happy because most everyone that came was a decision maker. It was people that could really make their time together at the show beneficial. And that's really what we're looking for. Bring people back together, have a little fun, and be safe and go home stronger than you came. So I appreciate you taking the time to join me today and answering some really tough questions.
I'm glad to do it. Glad to be here. We are so fortunate to have partners at the NKBA that have such a broad view of the world. And we certainly look forward to getting back in person and seeing everyone next February.
Oh, great. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks.
Next, I'm happy to introduce another friend from Emerald to talk about our exhibitors and other few key points about KBIS. I'd like to introduce our show manager, Jason McGraw. Hello, Jason.
Hey, Susie. Glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here with me. Let's jump right in. So let's start with who all is exhibiting at KBIS 2022.
Well, I'm excited to report that the leading brands in the industry that everybody's come to know and love over the years of KBIS will be back at the show in 2022 in Orlando. We have Kohler and Samsung, Signature, Kitchen Suite, Cafe, Monogram, and Profile, BSH Appliances, Delta Faucet, Electrolux, Toto, LK, Moen, Miele.
Yeah, that's great because it sounds like the gang is all here. It's impressive as always, but I think everyone understands that this is the place to come and be together as a community. So can you share a little bit about what the exhibitors will be doing at KBIS, stuff that's not, under wraps?
We are expecting over 425 brands to exhibit at the show, and we're signing up new exhibitors every week. In the conversations that we've had with exhibitors, many are bringing new exhibit displays to showcase their new products. Since it's been 2 years since KBIS 2020, and a lot's happened in those 2 years. So they're excited about getting back to meet with the industry face to face. I think attendees are going to be very amazed at the quality of products at the show floor this year, the opportunity to see and touch and get to talk directly with the manufacturers' representatives in the booths on the floor. It's going to be an amazing experience.
So this is going to be your first in-person KBIS, which I can't wait for you to be there. What are you personally excited about?
Just being able to get back to an in-person show after having this, couple-year hiatus is frankly something that, I'm totally excited about. And I think attendees and exhibitors are too. I think there's a pent-up demand to meet face-to-face, as we talked about. But, specifically at the show, we have a new launch pad area this year in the Discovery District over in the South Hall, where we're going to have new-to-market exhibitors. for attendees to see some of the latest cool new products. We're also adding a smart home new product kiosk area in both the South Hall and the West Hall Convention Center lobbies, so you can see the latest kind of smart home products there. We're also putting a greater emphasis on luxury products this year with the ICFF Pavilion. And as you know, a lot of homeowners have been spending a lot more investing in outdoor living and wellness solutions for their homes, over the last couple of years with the pandemic. So we have new pavilion areas for outdoor living and wellness as well. And I think this is the best opportunity to kind of get a whole experience in one time, one place, and meet new brands that you might want to pick up and offer to your customers. If you're a designer, if you're a distributor or showroom, you want to connect with the brands you work with, but also discover some new ones. So it's really an unparalleled shopping opportunity, but it's also a business development opportunity at KBIS.
Well, that all makes perfect sense. By now, you probably are more than likely spoken to most of our exhibitors. So what do you think are their major concerns for KBIS?
Suzie, I think it's a combination of those. We've definitely heard from many exhibitors concerned about, how many people are going to come to the show, and what about all these COVID cases in Florida and restrictions, and our international guests may not be able to come and so forth. But that's all starting to clear up. Brian alluded to the Epistemic data that we've recently received, and clearly it shows that it's going to get better by showtime. There's going to be significantly fewer cases in this wintertime going into the show. We also know, based on the data, that it's safer to go to a B2B show because there's a higher percentage of attendees that are vaccinated than the general population. And this has been proven through the data they've accumulated across many events that have been taking place this year. So we think we can put on a safe show. Certainly the supply chain issues are on everybody's mind. And that's been a byproduct of the economy restarting and the COVID challenges. But hopefully that starts to ease as we get through to the show. But clearly that's a concern for some brands, having to make arrangements to get their products shipped and exhibits built and so forth. So we're working with many companies now and having those conversations. We think we can get it cleared out. Recent announcements from the government saying that international travel will be able to resume this fall to the United States is fantastic news. So we'll be very excited to have a lot of our international guests be able to join us in Orlando.
I've heard from a few of them, and they are very excited that they're now able to go to come here. And I think that that's just wonderful. And I think everybody, as you said, it's starting to loosen up a little bit. And I think people get a little confused because you see these sporting events where there's 30,000 people there, not a problem. And then you go to a trade show and everybody gets nervous about a trade show when they were at a baseball game or a football game the week before. It's confusing to people. And so I think, we'll keep all the information we can possibly keep for everybody on kbis.com to make sure that everybody, makes a decision based on what they're comfortable with, and that we're giving them all the information. The epistemic part is going to be a huge help for everybody, because that's verified information that people can make their decisions on.
So true.
You think anything on the show floor is going to change as a result of the health and safety protocols that we're putting in place? I mean, will we still have the tours be a part of KBIS? Will there be in-booth events? So what are we planning on that?
Well, our plan, Suzie, is to have the show pretty much operate it as it has in the past. We have very expansive booths. There's plenty of room in the convention center, very large lobby areas. We have the entire building in two halls. There are currently no, social distancing requirements in place in the Orange County Convention Center. But at the same time, people need to feel comfortable. And, if they need the room to space out, then, they might step away if it gets too crowded for them personally. So it's really up to each individual in terms of, how comfortable you feel on the show. We definitely encourage everyone to wear a mask, regardless of vaccination status. So, and all the common sense things we've come to learn over the last couple of years, regularly washing our hands and using hand sanitizer and all these things. So we think we'll have a very safe show on the show floor.
Here's a hard question. And let's just get this one out of the way, because I'm sure people are curious. Has anyone decided not to show at KBIS in February? And if so, do you know why?
Well, we've had a very limited number of exhibitors, choose not to participate this year who had signed up. We certainly have fewer exhibitors at this point than we had for the 2020 show. I don't think that's a shock to anyone. There's certainly, some smaller brands, smaller companies that, are still working their way back this year, given the pandemic and all the other challenges that are out there. But so far, health and safety has not been a driver for many companies have chosen not to return to the show. There have been a couple recently that expressed concerns about health and safety, and we are proactively addressing that. We've actually had a couple brands tell us they were going to consider dropping out, and then they changed their minds and in the last week and come back. So, best that we can say is it's a fluid situation. We encourage everyone to keep looking at our floor plan on kbis.com. It has a current exhibitor list. It is up to date. And so the brands that you see on there are contracted and plan to be at the show. And we continue to sign up new companies.
That's great. That's great information, because I'm not sure all of our attendees have even ever really known to go to KBIS. I think this more than ever is a good time to go to kbis.com, really research the site, look at the floor plan, make sure the people, we have well over 340 people, exhibitors that are going to be there. There's bound to be the ones there that you need, or that you want to see the product, or you want to make the introduction. As a past specifier, being from the industry, I came home every time from KBIS with new products, new ideas, new connections that then helped me build my business. And also, just if I was in a position where I couldn't take my sales team, at least I could come back and relay to them all the opportunities. And I think, not having a live show in 2021, being able to get everybody together again and see all that is really important. So if you had anything you could say to anyone who was thinking of not exhibiting or not attending KBIS, what would you say to them?
Well, I would say, what other opportunity would you have in the Western Hemisphere in 2022, or certainly over the last 2 years, to be able to connect with the distributors, the designers, the showrooms, the custom builders, the architects? There hasn't been an opportunity to do that in person. And it's such a great chance to get back together safely. There's just something that you can do in person that you just can't do online. And I would ask companies to think long and hard. If they're not in the show, they should call us up today and get a great spot. If they're waffling and considering maybe I shouldn't be there, think about the lost opportunity of not being there and letting your competitors talk to your customers. To me, there's so much at stake. And I think it's a great way to reconnect with the channel and propel your business into 22 and beyond to take it to the next level. I know things have been great. The housing market's been on fire. The remodeling industry's been on fire. But now we want to keep it going. And what better opportunity do you have than doing it at KBIS 22?
Well, that's great. And that was a wonderful answer. And, I know that you're creating things for the people who don't attend, but that doesn't really take the place of being there. And I love that we can access some of the programming post KBIS, especially for our voices sessions. And that's not for people that can't be there. That's just also for the people that are there that need more time to be able to hit all 80 conference sessions, because there's so many of them you can't attend while you're at the show. And now Next Stage, really excited that they'll be able to see Next Stage. So it's not a replacement, but when you can't bring your whole staff or whatever, there'll be something for everybody, both virtually and in person. Jason, I really thank you. This is such good information. I can't wait for everybody to get to know you. Your number 2 show, and nobody's even really gotten to meet you yet. So I'm excited about that. So I can't wait to see everybody at KBIS 2022 in Orlando, February the 8th through the 10th. Thank you so much, Jason.
Thanks, Suzie. We'll look forward to seeing everybody there.
Absolutely. I want to thank all of you so much for joining us today, and hope you'll be back for our next KBIS webinar on October the 28th. And that one we'll be talking about special NKBA and KBIS events and activations that we're going to have at the show, which are, we've got them all going. We've got more that we're adding. It's going to be very robust. Again, thank you so much to Monogram for your support of this. I think that all of our attendees and exhibitors are grateful that you are making it possible for us to bring all this important information to make sure we have a lively, robust KBIS 2022. So thank you so much.